All right, guys, I'm Doug Bruner, and this is The Toast, and I am here with Cameron Robertson. Number one, thank you for coming today, man.
Thank you for having me.
We try to do these podcasts. We're inconsistent at times, but you know what? I appreciate you coming down at a busy time. Well, luckily we got a little rain in the last couple of days, which is kind of holding people up. But how's that? Is that affecting you in any way? And the bees, or like
it gives us a nice little break.
Okay.
We much needed rain, obviously.
Yeah.
The moisture we've had this year has been so inconsistent and sporadic.
at the wrong time?
And at the wrong time. So, we're in our honey production time right now. Our summer pollination events haven't started yet for a row crop called melons or seed crops. So the rain's much needed. Sagebrush has already cycled and stopped blooming, and it's burnt up. But now the buckwheat's starting on the coastline. So now we just need some heat to come back to give us a chance to have a good floral source.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to get into the whole bee thing. Cameron is a Dos Palace native. For those of you who don't know, it's called Two Sticks. It's a great little town north of Fresno. But anyways, the water kingdom for farming. So you grew up there. Cameron is in a lot of different things, but primarily why we're talking today is the bees. He's part of the Ag Center. He owns Real American Honey, and I'm excited to have you here today, learn more. You're an interesting dude. I know you texted me. I still look back at my texts about 4 or 5 years ago on, hey, looking for possibility on doing some hives on some of your ranches. And I don't know. I think I maybe just texted you back like, hey, we're good right now. But in this last year, you've done our work, and I'm really happy about that. I'll get into some of those things later. But you got a different personality. I think it's pretty fun to have a guy like you. You're in ag, but you're in aviation. You think outside the box. I think it's cool especially for young guys. You're 40?
I'm 40 now.
Just turned 40.
Just turned.
Yep. 40 years old. Very entrepreneurial. From what I've gotten to know you in the last year and a half, probably. Mm-hmm. Our kids are friends. You have a family. How many kids do you have?
5.
5 kids?
Well, 4 and 1 on the way.
Gotcha. So you're busy with that, definitely. You got you just had little Jimmy.
Yep.
So, and they got another one on the way. Another
boy coming, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if you should name it Cameron, but...
Yeah, we'll work on it.
We're trying to figure that out.
Looking at it, we'll get Cameron in there.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's a runner, right?
Yeah,
so,
and then start the basketball team after that.
So anyways, yeah, you definitely done it from the bee side. You also have other investments. You're in farming, all that stuff. But let's just go back to how Cameron Robertson got into bees, and let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay, we can dive in there. I think it's a pretty common story. Definitely, if you're in the bee business, it's incredibly common. But I think in agriculture in general, nobody typically seeks out this life that we live in agriculture, much less the bees. So for me, I was born into it. I'm a second-generation beekeeper, California beekeeper, born and raised here in Dos Palace. My dad became a bee guy back in late or early 60s, I think 62, moved to Dos Palace in 64 because back then, when it was still swampland, that's the only place that somebody would own or carry some property to a guy that was, in his late 20s. So my dad bought a...
was he already in bees?
No, so that's what...
Okay.
I mean, he was dabbling with it. My dad's from Santa Cruz, and there's a guy in Dos Palace that I understand that had 20 acres and some beehives and wanted out. And much like today, the only way to get out of the bee business is to find a bigger sucker to get in.
Yeah.
And my dad was that sucker. So, yeah. And, here we are 60 or 70 years later, still going at it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Still got an operation there, an operation based in Dos Palace, and now we got operations scattered around the state, and we're in 6 states combined. But Dos Palace is where it all started for us.
So yeah, let's talk about that. How I know people like even myself, being a farm, we just expect bees to show up at our property 2 weeks before we
2 weeks before the world's largest pollination event.
Yeah.
It's kind of
So we have that, they just magically appear. Of course, you got to pay for them. Prices vary according to how good they are, which we'll talk about grading different things later.
yeah.
But tell me the trip of well, first of all, if we don't have, is it true if there's no bees, this world would end?
I mean, essentially, bees.
I've always heard that.
Yeah, bees are responsible for about 65 to 70% of the food that makes it to the table.
Gotcha.
So our diets would just have to change drastically, and we'd have to become
Carnivores?
Carnivores essentially. But we'd be on grass. We'd be on grass-fed.
Okay.
Grass-fed proteins.
So which is impossible to feed the world. So the
Correct.
strong would survive.
The strong would survive.
Yep.
The hunters would survive,
Yep.
and everybody else that shops at Walmart would be in bad shape.
Yeah, I just always heard that if there was no bees, the world would end.
Yeah, that's pretty much the equivalent.
Okay. But anyways, give people that are listening the trip. How do the bees get to their round trip? Their year
here
trip?
starting in for the almonds, we got 3 million 4 bearing acres. There's a little over 2 million hives that make their way to the greater Central Valley for the pollination event of almonds.
Okay.
Those bees can start as local as we are here in Chowchilla, and so we got some hives that never move more than about 50 air miles throughout the whole course of a year. Then we have other bees that go to our operations in North and South Dakota, and they make, we're talking 4,000 miles round trip over the course of a year. And they get moved maybe 6 or 7 times during the year, from almonds to holding yards to summer pasture.
Is that a different type of bee or same?
Nope, same bee.
Same
bee,
okay.
the same bee that shows up in your orchard. Different generation of them, but it's the same genetic, same bloodline. And guys that are beekeepers in Florida and New York and Maine, those bees all make it to California in the month of January to start the pollination event of almonds. Those bees are all staked in California, January, February, maybe midway through March, and then bees start moving their way down to Texas, Georgia, all across the southeast. That's where beekeepers will start to split their hives, recover from losses, and rebuild their.
Talk about losses.
Rebuild their numbers.
What's a bee's life?
So the average, the honeybee during the summer months, your average lifespan is about 30 days. And
so they're reproducing that fast.
Yeah, right. And they're reproducing even faster in those summer months. Queens lay in 5,000 or 6,000 eggs a day. But in the fall, she's laying only a few hundred or 0. They go brood. Here in California, the queen will stop rearing completely, and we'll have a 2 or 3 week broodless cycle.
That's why you got to get them out.
That's why we got to get them out and get them in the right pastures at the right times.
So somebody, like you said, somebody who's only traveling them 50 miles,
mm-hmm.
So their queen bee stops. They're not producing. I mean, they're not laying any eggs because they're staying in California.
That would only be in the winter. So yeah, no, our bees are in California. We'll go 50, 60 air miles. So pollination in almonds in Chowchilla, and then from there we might shoot back over to the coast, go to Santa Cruz, and hang out in Santa Cruz April, May, June, July, and then come back to the Central Valley to do some cantaloupe pollination or something along those lines. And then from cantaloupe pollination, maybe go back out to a holding yard somewhere along the 99 corridor, the I-5 corridor, or maybe back over onto the coast range.
But those broods, or what?
So
it's called a brood, right?
Yeah, the brood. Yeah, that's what the queen's laying eggs, and that develops into brood. So that queen all year long, she's laying eggs all year, every single day, 360. Well, not about 320 or 30 days a year, and then usually somewhere in the fall or in the winter, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. If we can kind of break their pollen and their nectar flow intake, which is their nectar flow would be supplemented with serps. But if we break that intake where the hive has nothing coming in, she will stop laying for a little bit just to kind of rest and recover.
Gotcha.
Now, also, typically a commercial queen, they're only viable for about 9 months. Back in my dad's day, in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, queens were going for 2, 3, 4 years.
Really?
Now queens are about a 9
Why?
month. 9 month
Because
cycle.
they work so hard.
We're working them harder. Natural habitats, a lot less natural.
What about chemical?
Yeah, they're exposed.
No?
They're exposed to a lot more,
Okay.
but it depends on where we're at. If we're talking, California here, yeah, we get quite a bit of exposure in the springtime on the commercial side, especially on the melon side or any type of row crop. There's a lot of applications that are there. There's a lot of pest pressure. But when we're on the coastline, and we're sitting on conservation land or just a wild pasture,
sure.
there's no inputs that are being applied anywhere.
I guess I think of a queen as kind of like if you're a cattle guy or something like that, you're trying to buy the best bull, right? To breed your hive or to breed your cows, right? You want the best bull.
No different for honeybees.
Okay,
so honeybees, you have genetics, we have breeders.
Really? Okay.
It's a full livestock program. It's a little nerdier.
I know when you say
but it's a full livestock.
We were in Arizona and you were people are asking you what you're doing, and you said I'm in livestock, and I'm thinking about you got a bunch of little flies going around. Yeah. What do you do? It's bees,
honeybees.
But anyways,
it's bee ranching.
So let's talk about that. How these you select bees. Where do you buy these bee or the queen bee? Because it seems like whatever she does maps out what you have.
It's one of our most important deals. Okay. So we have a couple different processes because we have a large queen rearing operation where we draw our own queens and create our own.
So you're
queens.
making your own queens.
We have our own breeding program, correct? And then we have a wholesale retail to the market for our industry. We supply a lot of other beekeepers with their queens. So we have some breeders that we pull out of from a friend of ours that has a very intensive scientific background, biological background for his breeding program, and those come out of Canada. They're very hardy. They're really great queens for our northern operations, the stuff that we do in Montana and North Dakota and such. So like a breeder, a queen bee breeder, something that's been artificially inseminated and almost genetically modified. We can artificially inseminate that little bee. Yeah, that's a thing. So I was just going to go.
Wait, real quick. So there's bees somewhere in Canada.
There's bees in Canada
that are just chilling out, that are getting artificially inseminated.
Yeah. And
how long will those?
And in the U.S.
How long will those live?
We usually keep them 2 years.
Okay.
And they cost $3,000 to $5,000 a bee. Yeah. So I mean, you think about a good stud, a good bull.
Yeah.
Those can be
where
20,000, 30,000, 50,000. They're harvested. Yeah. So I'm saying the bee industry is.
This is God. Hey, who's ever going in there is doing a good job.
They're doing a good job. They get a lot of practice.
Yeah, a lot of practice. Okay.
Thing's huge.
God.
Looking to buy more land, refinance your ranch, or expand your farm business? Ag Lending Group is here to help. As a dedicated agricultural loan advisory firm specializing in ag mortgage loans, bridge mortgage loans, and real estate-backed lines of credit built for farmers, not banks. With nationwide service, flexible terms, and a team that truly understands agriculture, providing real solutions for real growers. Visit theagcenter.com today and let's grow together.
All right, so you are artificially inseminating bees.
Yep, queens. Yep.
This queen will pump out 4,000 or 5,000
eggs a day. So then we'll go back in off that breeder. We'll go back in and harvest maybe 500 to 1,000 of those eggs a day, and then from that we'll graft daughters of hers. And then so that way you have.
How do you know if they're a daughter or a boy?
Well, we engineer that. We engineer the environment so that the hive knows what to raise. So the hive, how they feed, how the hive, the worker bees and nurse bees feed the egg determines the outcome of that egg. So
whether it's a boy or a girl.
Whether it's a boy or girl or turns into a queen or a worker. So we manipulate.
So the workers, are they all boy
female.
Or girl?
They're all female. So the only male bees are drone bees. And those only come in the spring and the summer when population allows them.
Are there drone bees just flying around?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're bigger. They're about 2 times the size of a worker bee. They're fuzzy.
So we don't see many of them?
You don't see many of them.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't see them. You see them in a swarm.
Okay.
If you're out and there's a swarm in your
wild,
yard, a wild swarm in your yard, those will be a little heavier. But no, in general, you don't see the drones. It's only peak colony, maybe 3-4% of the population.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So there's 60,000.
So you're selling them to beekeepers.
Yep.
What does a queen bee go for?
Lately the market's softened a little bit. It's $25 to $32.
Oh, so it's not that okay.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's sizable, right? You know, if you're in operation, you got 5,000.
How many?
4,000
does
hives.
each-
You have to
does
requeen.
each-
It's
So
$100,000
we're
a
talking.
year to
Everybody sees boxes. Does each box have a queen?
every colony, right? So every vertical stack of boxes you see.
So what's a vertical sack?
So, you know, if you're out in an orchard.
Yep. I'm
typically-
just saying because
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people see it from an orchard, right?
Right. So you see it in an orchard, there'll be a pallet of bees,
Yep.
of beehives.
Yep.
Typically, a pallet has either 4 or 6 hives on a pallet. So each vertical stack of those boxes, whether it's 2 high, 3 high, or just a single box, that's a hive.
So at a pallet, there will be 6 queens.
There'll be 4 or 6 queens.
How do you know if the queen dies?
The beekeeper would know through inspections. You'll see a brood break. You'll also see them draw cells. The hive will
Does
start
the
drawing
bees start
cells.
dying?
No, well, then the bees are always dying. They're, you know,
I
like
know,
said,
but do
only
they
live in
die
30 days.
faster without the queen?
Well, they don't. You don't have the population coming back forward.
Got
So
it,
what they'll
got
do
it, got it.
if queen disappears, then they immediately start going into survival mode and they go to raise a new queen.
Okay.
So they'll take some larvae that's about 3 days old and they'll start drafting queen cells off of those. And they'll, you know, if the hive went queenless, they'll drag out 10, 20, 30 queen cells. And then as those times go,
I'm confused on that. Okay.
they'll hatch out as virgins and they'll fight it out, and then usually one will survive.
Oh, so they don't have to go put a new queen in there.
No, I mean, yeah, the hive can't. You know, nature's going to take care of it their own way. A good beekeeper is going to ideally catch it before that happens
And put a queen in there?
and put a queen in and squash all the queen cells before they hatch. If a queen cell hatches, and
How do you see the queen cell?
it's very noticeable. It's like a big nose hanging off the honeycomb. Yeah,
This is
it's a lot to it.
This is a lot of science. Not actually, science is when you artificially inseminate a queen.
That's science.
But the
yeah.
natural thing is just how these bees.
Yeah, and it's the oldest profession in the world, or maybe the second oldest profession, some people would know the first one, but
I
it's
never
been
never
around
thought
forever.
about that.
Yeah, it's been around forever.
In the Bible, did they ever talk about beekeeping?
Oh yeah. There's husbandry in the
Well, it was
Bible
called
for bees.
husbandry, though.
Yeah, and it still is, I guess.
Yeah. You're right. It probably has been one of the largest.
Yeah.
Longest
Longest
things
going
because without it,
Yeah, it's survived.
your fields don't produce. You
Yep,
know,
they found honey in the Egyptian tombs. 3,000, 5,000
how long
year
will
old
honey last?
Forever, as long as it's never been cooked. It's not pasteurized. It goes on forever. The honey they found in the tombs are still edible.
Speaking of honey,
Yeah.
people have their, of course, you got the weirdos. You go to not weirdos. Hey, I'm a weirdo too. That love the Whole Foods and all the things like that. What is the best honey out there? Because I've heard orange, and then I've heard, what is the most seeked honey that you?
Yeah, I mean that's a personal preference for everybody, right? For me, obviously, I'm going to go American honey. Anything produced and created here inside the U.S. is going to be the highest quality. Anything you see on the store shelf, vast majority of it ultra pasteurized, filtered, and down blended with foreign product. So, 2025.
So like they do to our tomato paste.
Sure, 2025
With
was
black tar in it, or
right.
whatever.
2025 was the lowest domestic honey production in the history of America.
Really?
Yeah, 116 million pounds, down about 14% from the year before. But back in the 80s, we had about 250 million pounds of production.
Are people eating less of honey?
No, the consumer demand's at all-time highs, about
Really?
620 million pounds.
What is most honey going into?
Food
Sweetener?
yeah, food use as a
Yep.
sweetener. So, you think your cereals, your jams, your paste, syrups. So, barbecue, barbecue
Who's like the
sauces.
biggest buyer of, would it be like a Kellogg's, like a cereal, or?
Yeah, General Mills
General Mills, okay.
and Kellogg's. Those guys are big buyers. The PepsiCo, all these guys, all the big conglomerates are big, but they buy industrial grade honey. So that's where the 500 million pound deficiency there is all coming on imports. Argentina, Brazil, big time from China, India, and Vietnam.
I was going to ask what country or
Yeah. So
is your
Vietnam,
biggest company?
India, China is the worst. We have anti-dumping duties that we've got on China a
Are
while
they tariffed
back.
on? Yeah,
They're tariffed. Now we got a little bit of help, but not nearly enough.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest problem there is the honey from foreign, let's call it Vietnam or Indonesia even. Or we can even go. Ukraine was a great one when the war kicked off over there because we didn't tariff Ukraine.
Ukraine they got a lot of ag there, man.
They do, but out of support. So when we went after China and we got anti-dumping duties on them, China's imports or exports to the U.S. Crashed, and all of a sudden places like Vietnam increased 500%. Now it's weird to have exports from a country increase 500% on a commodity that's produced annually, because there's a little bit of effort.
Was it just stored?
How do you how do you grow your exports 500%
Yeah.
on something that takes a lot of infrastructure and a lot of labor?
Mm-hmm.
My guess is it doesn't. It's transshipments.
Their queens just work really hard there.
Yeah, right. So our biggest industry issues that we're having right now is transshipping of honey through in places like India, Brazil, Argentina, which Argentina, Brazil do make quality products.
Does a lot of honey leave the U.S.?
No, not much.
I was going to say, because if the demand...
Because the demand's so strong. And again, most of that import market is an industrial grade honey. Seriously, something like black tar. Like, it's just dark, it's bitter, and it's used as a sweetener product or as a something for viscosity. It's something like barbecue where the flavor is not as important. And the honey, like you're talking about, what's our favorite honey? For me, it's either orange blossom or it's sage, both of which are pretty much now only produced in California. There's still some... The Florida citrus market's kind of, it's disappearing quickly between
Did you ever take bees to Florida or no?
Nope. I've never gone farther than Texas.
Okay.
Personally. And then obviously the Dakotas and Minnesota, but in the South, Texas, as far as I've gone. Now, there we get like a tallow crop, a brush crop, and a cotton crop. And good honey. Texas is great, but actually, like Texas, for example, consumes all their own honey. If honey's produced in Texas, the Texas consumer goes, it's Texas made, it's Texas bought.
Okay, that's just off the wall. I've always heard that. Say I live in the Central Valley, and I was always told that you should eat your honey that's around you for
allergies.
Is that bullshit or?
It's not bullshit. But the thing is, you'd have to eat a lot of it to matter, right? It's
wake up and drink an 8-ounce cup of it. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. You'd get diabetes before you cure your allergies. Unfortunately, I'd love to tell you that yes, local honey is your cure all, but the reality is you'd have to consume because we do in raw unfiltered honey. You do have pollen particles in there. Lots of enzymes, a lot of stuff that's very healthy for you, but it's microscopic, right? You don't have. You're better off if you wanted to cure your local allergies. Get with a local beekeeper, pay a premium for them to harvest pollen. They could put pollen traps on their hives, and then you could just eat raw. Eat a tablespoon or a teaspoon of raw pollen from your immediate region. And if you ate a teaspoon,
have you ever had somebody ask that?
No, but we harvest pollen. Because we have it for various commodities. Kiwis are one of them.
I think it's easier just to take a Claritin.
Yeah, I would 24-hour Claritin daily will do you
get a shot,
do you pretty good. Take a Benadryl and go to bed. But and if you're not a greenie or a weirdo from Whole Foods, which we all shop there, we love it. Eating a teaspoon of raw pollen. I mean, you're eating. It tastes like dirt. It's not great. We've done it and still do it, but it's raw pollen does not taste like doesn't taste like it looks.
When your harvest is moving fast, you need transportation you can rely on. G3 Enterprises provides ag hauling across the Central Valley, moving almonds, pistachios, grape hummus, dairy byproducts, and more. Their fleet includes super hoppers, gondolas, and bulk liquid tankers backed by GPS tracking and experienced drivers. From field to processor or port, G3 keeps your products moving safely and on time. Call G3 Enterprises at 209-454-5700.
I think beekeepers are just different. I mean,
beekeeper. We talked about this.
You guys are different.
I picked up a lot of business from being just slightly less different.
Yeah, you guys are,
because beekeepers are a unique bunch.
They are.
The venom gets to our head.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you become mentally retarded getting stung that many times?
It's a good question, right?
I mean, I'm allergic to bees. So, I'm running. And last time I got stung, man, my throat. But
I don't think there's a beekeeper over 50 or 55 years old that everyone doesn't look at it just a little sideways at this point.
Yeah,
just because
I was driving down Roosevelt one day in El Nido. I'm driving, and this big old dude, he's got his shirt off, in shorts, and he's in the middle of the hive, and I'm driving probably 70 miles an hour past him, and I just stopped the brakes, and I backed up slowly, barely rolled down my window, and he's looking at me, and I said, "You are a crazy son of a bitch," because he's just, I mean, bees just covered from head to toe, like. And you guys just get stuck because there's one beekeeper, I forgot his name, but he said he has to get stung every day. Like needs it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say you do start to miss the abuse if you go too long without getting stung. It doesn't really hurt, I mean, you get a pinch. It's just a little pinch, but it does feel good after it stops hurting.
What's the most times you think you've been stung in a day?
Oh God. The most ever in a day is probably just 200 or 300.
Holy shit!
I mean, an average day is 30 or 40 or 50. You just
has a hive ever attacked you? Like, do they ever just like
we breed for gentleness, kindness, and politeness. But on
my bees are California nice.
Yeah,
right?
they're California sober bees for sure.
Yeah.
But like on our brokerage side, during the pollination season, we broker in 60,000 hives, and a lot of those bees come from either southern Arizona or southern Florida, and both those places are known for having a little Africanized colony, and it when you get into a hot hive, man. Those things, I mean, we have to reject them. Yeah, they're overly aggressive, and I mean they're a danger. So we intentionally don't work with these things because of just how aggressive they are.
So are they better though going out into the field? Or not necessarily?
I don't know. I've never been able to study them because they're too aggressive. Like once they turn on you, you have to go a half mile away before they stop. They don't let up. Yeah. They have the gang mindset mentality, and they just go after you, and they don't quit, man. They don't quit. Yeah. They're violent.
So you'll just turn them. You'll turn the trailer.
Turn the truck around. Yeah. Say, hey, these aren't going to work. Because I'm not going to put that kind of livestock.
So will somebody else take those?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not,
because there's only so many hives, right?
There's only so many hives. And like when I first, that's funny that you brought up when I texted you years ago. That was a shortage year. It was a big shortage. And because of my network, we were short, but everyone's short in the sense that there wasn't enough bees to cover everybody. But it's very simple in this industry where there's never a shortage for good operators. The best bee guys on a year where there's a quote unquote surplus of hives, the best bees never go without a home. They never go without a grower. And the best growers never go without bees because of reputation, because of relationships. So that's when I remember I reached out to you because I didn't know you at the time, but I knew your reputation. You're a great grower and a great operator and great in the community.
Thank you for lying.
So it was, I didn't know you. So it was a great time for me to go like, okay, hang on.
Good comeback, man.
So it was a great time for me to reach out and go, okay, let me get this foot in the door. And hopefully his bee guys shafted him, because maybe you weren't working with the best.
We've always had pretty good bee guys, but
not 2 years ago.
Yeah. There's been once or twice.
But that's when we first started hanging out. I was like, hey, you're gonna want to check these. Only because I know because they called me beforehand.
So let's get to that. That's where we're gonna go next. Is bees are graded.
Bees are great. Well, they should be.
They should be.
They should be. So many guys go without grading. And a friend of mine this year, like I've hounded him for years, for a decade. Grade your guy. Oh, we've been with our guy forever, man. We trust him. I said, grade your guy. I trust me. Grade me. Like grade every time. He graded his guy secretly this year, and in one field, 25% zeros. And he calls me, what do I do? I said, well, man, it's the end of March. He's already moved out half the bees. It's too late. You have to do this early. But you should still go ask for a discount on what's
so for
fine.
Somebody listening, if they're an almond grower,
if you're an almond grower, get an inspection.
What should be your expectation? So I need to get, but that sounds good. I need to get an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
I need to inspect my car. What does that inspection mean? So give me the step by step.
Sure.
What are you expecting once you look into that?
it's it can be different for every grower based on what their agreement's going to be with their beekeeper. But let's call it the industry standard. It was an 8-frame average, 6-frame minimum.
What's a frame?
So colony a beehive has on average 10 frames. It's 10-frame equipment, meaning there's 10 frames of bee frames in a box. And when we say an 8-frame average, we're expecting 8 out of those 10 frames to be covered 75% by bees. So if you pop the lid off and you were to pull out a frame, 75% of that frame is going to have bees on it. And if you pulled out 8 of those frames, 8 of those frames are going to be covered with bees, which is just a simple visual inspection. And it's also left up to interpretation. And it's fine. It's weather depending. The colder it is, bees cluster. So the hive colony size will look smaller, as opposed to if it's 80 degrees and the sun's shining, then they kind of spread out to cool off a little bit. But you can be fair. You can everyone can be fair and agree. Like, hey, look, if it's a 7.5 or a 6.5, like we can even on the grower side, you can go, hey, look, I'll err on the side of the beekeeper. So if a grower is going to have 100 hives in an orchard, you're going to want to have maybe 10 to 20 of those hives inspected, because it's expensive, or it's not expensive, but it is an added cost. So in these times that we've had the almond market for the last 5, 6, 7 years, every dollar counts. Yeah, so you want to be
every advantage.
Yep. So you want to be reasonable with spending money, but again, you're going to inspect 20% of them, and of those 20 hives, if 15 of them come back as 8s or 6s and better, and they average out to an 8, then you're good. Except for those 5 that didn't make grade, then you're going to just take that and extrapolate that out and go, hey, 5 of the 100, that's 5%. I'm going to say 5% of the hives in this entire orchard are no good. And you call your bee guy back and go, hey, I want a discount on 5%.
Or replace.
Or replace. Ideally replace, because you don't want to lose any type of pollination. The cost of 5 hives is not worth losing 50 pounds in an acre. Sure. So you want those hives replaced, and in a timely manner. And that's why you want to do the inspections early enough that you have time to get new hives in and not miss the pollination event. If for whatever reason you can't get more hives or whatever happens, then sure, you ask for the discount. But at the same time, if a bee guy is going to go, hey, no worries, we should already have them inspected before they got to you. But if they got in somehow, we should replace them. If we can't replace them and don't want to replace them and take a discount, then you got to ask yourself a question of, why does this guy want to take a discount? Yeah. What else is out there and you should be inspecting? I am a fan of inspecting, 30, 40, 50%. The inspection, if it's $2, $3 a hive, pays for itself.
For sure.
Always. It always pays for itself.
1.5%.
If you find 2 hives, it's paid for your whole operation.
For sure.
So if you're a grower, get the inspection.
And there's guys out there
that'll do it. And other bee guys, and you have to be careful that you want to make sure that it's an independent third party that's not going to play, doesn't have any vendettas against each other. But sure. And it should be a transparent practice. Beekeepers should be present for it so that everyone sees it and is acknowledging of what happens.
I know we started doing that because we were managing for a company like 5 years ago, and they made us, we brought in our own bee. They were like, that's fine, but they got to be inspected. And, and they were fine. But what it did was, we managed for some people, and they want different bee guys, and that's fine. But it's really interesting to see the, the difference in the beekeeper.
Yeah, right? and the bees aren't made in a lab, right? Like they're, we have a breeding program where we do artificial insemination, and then those, takes a whole year for those bees to make it into the field. But as far as a beekeeper operation goes, no 2 are the same, and no 2 opinions are the same. Bees don't come out of the same region. They're, there's usually coming into almond season. There's hurricanes in Florida back in October, October, November, or September. So if there's damage that's done to the environment in Florida in October, a lot of those bees end up in California for almonds. So if they got their natural pollen and nectar sources interrupted in October, November, their growth gets stunted, and then you get poorer bees out of Florida come January.
Is almond honey that valuable or not?
No, there's no almond honey harvested. Bees produce nectar and almonds. Okay. This year was a really pretty big, sizable year. Okay. But none of that ever comes off. That just goes back in as feed.
Gotcha. So it's because it doesn't have much.
No, it's
so there's different things, right? Like almond guys pay you.
Almond guys pay us, right? Because we're a service provider.
You pay people.
Sometimes we'll pay people. So citrus guys, right? Navels, Valencia, or when the citrus bloom is on, bee operators will usually lease, a little quarter acre, half acre, an acre of ground next to a citrus grove to place bees to make nectar make honey for that little bloom season that we get.
Is that the most valuable honey?
It used to be. This year it's pretty valuable because very little was produced. Because that from time
The weather?
bloom was declared to time petal fall, it was very fast again, and then the weather wasn't very
conducive,
complacent.
yeah.
Conducive to it. Almonds kind of that. We had that weather event somewhere around the 20th, I think, of February or whatever. The bloom kind of started a little early and it was progressing quickly, and then the weather changed and then kind of paused the almonds a little bit and then prolonged that bloom. And it looked like bees were going to get released out of almonds in general across the Central Valley, like first week of March, would be like some of the earliest releases ever. And then the trees kind of held on, healthy trees. There's a lot, as we've all seen, there's a lot of orchards that have been poorly managed
I was going to ask
through that side. A lot of stressed trees.
What's the difference in nectar you get from a healthy orchard between a poorly managed orchard?
Oh, I have to assume it's great. I mean, I don't
Okay.
know if it's ever been know if it's ever been measured. And again, on the almond side, we don't collect any of the almond honey, so it would be very hard to know that for sure. And not to mention, all the bees are free range, so we don't track if they go. You got
They could be going to an orchard next.
right. You got one section here.
How far will it be travel?
And during the almond bloom, maybe a quarter or a half mile, but be pre and post bloom, 2 miles. So, but if you got one section,
they're working.
You're right, they're working. If you got one section of ground where the tree is perfectly farmed and managed, and those guys are getting 3,200 and 3,500 pounds an acre, and the tree's just big and beautiful. And then right next to it, you have poorly managed organic, 20-year orchard that is getting nothing. The volume of pollen and nectar pulling off that orchard it has to be greatly different, just because the size of the trees and the amount of flowers on that tree. Same as going into a nice citrus orchard, right? If it's a 5-year-old orchard, it's not going to be producing much because there's not that many flowers on a tree, as opposed to like a 40-year-old orchard that is just going gangbusters.
I got another question. You take your bees back to was it Montana?
Yeah, we go to Montana and the Dakotas.
So little fun story about Montana. Tell how you were part of Yellowstone. How you went from bee guy to Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think we still have an NDA in place, but
yeah,
no,
never mind.
Yeah, no, we got blessed with being in the perfect little small town in rural Montana, and for a few years, Yellowstone partnered with me on a property, or I guess I partnered with Paramount ultimately, and we got to be a part of the biggest show on television for 4 seasons.
There's going to be one coming out again.
There's the Dutton Ranch with
that's it. Yep, I just saw that.
What's that? Beth and Rip. So it's Cole and Kelly, and I think that's going to be a good one. Madison's still being filmed right now. It just got renewed for season 3. That's Michelle Pfeiffer and
are they all kind of doing their own deal? Because what's the one, that boy Casey or whatever?
Yeah, Luke Grimes
he
has
had
Marshalls.
Yeah.
So that's a CBS show.
Okay.
So there's there's that and this Dutton Ranch. These are split off of what was original Taylor Sheridan universe. They still have Taylor and David Glasser a part of it for EP credits and for the universe, but no, it's a separate program with Paramount. The only thing tied with the original Yellowstone is right now this is the Madison.
Gotcha.
Which hopefully people turn into. That's filmed still up in Montana and Three Forks. Cool. It's a cool show. More for the ladies than everybody. Yellowstone was a show for men and women. A lot of violence and a lot of drinking. So yeah, it was a really good show, and unfortunately Costner decided to pursue another passion project, and the teams weren't able to work it out.
What's he even doing?
Right now, probably not much. I don't know.
He's
a great guy.
He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, I got to work with a lot of those guys, and they were all
really cool.
They were all wonderful people. Truly special people, and they made Montana what I know as it is now. We've benefited tremendously off of appreciation of values in the land. Brought a lot of people to our valley. That valley was where my property is there. It's an old logging town, and logging's been dead for about 40 years. Which is why I was able to afford to buy property there in the first place. And then Yellowstone revitalized the whole state of Montana. Everyone wants to live there and play cowboy, and it's great because it's brought some of the best people in America to our little valley there, and they've all set up shop, and it's been really great.
That's cool.
Spring irrigation starts now with Central Irrigation. From maintenance and emergency repairs to temporary conveyance systems, water treatment services, and late spring projects, they've got you covered. Order your drip tape, couplers, and repair parts early and stay ahead of the season. Visit centralirrigation.com or call 209-262-3723. That's 209-262-3723. Central Irrigation, for farmers by farmers.
Tell me another thing. As every year we have these bee, and we always hear the from a grower side, we're gonna have a bee shortage, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're always every year like, what has been like, how real is that sometimes?
It's a
And
good thing to touch on.
yeah, because from a grower side, you want to call bullshit. It's kind of like, hey, we had a 3 billion. They expected a 3 billion pound almond crop this year, and it's going to come out to 2.7, right? And so that costs us a lot of money. If I'm a bee guy, I'm going to say, hey,
Right.
but
So-
there ain't no bees,
Yep. So
right? Because I want $20 more a hive. Well,
Absolutely.
$20 more a hive on a 500-acre grower, that's a lot of money,
Yeah, you bet.
right?
So we've always had a bee shortage, and we had a bee shortage all up until the nut price collapsed, and that's due to not most, but a lot of growers ran out of money, started cutting inputs, and the industry standard is 2 hives an acre for anything after about 4th leaf, maybe 5th leaf.
For sure.
2 hives an acre, because you're going to get the yield. Good orchard, good grower statewide. I know the UC papers show 1,800 pounds an acre, but at least for anywhere I've ever been, from Bakersfield to Sacramento, if you're a good grower, you're not getting 1,800 pounds an acre. That's a mediocre.
Yeah.
That's a very mediocre
Hey,
orchard.
when you hear that's the average, you're like, I
I-
wonder what if the bad guy is.
I know there's some great guys. I remember right there on the 59, actually just past your guys' shop there. Wonderful family there. I remember their 4th leaf, they got 2,400 pounds. I go, yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it. And so when you hear that, you have to go, yeah, 2 hives an acre. Why would you risk? Yeah, you could probably get away with a hive and a half. The weather's perfect, but every year it seems to rain or gets cold or whatever right during the flower period. If growers go 2.5 or 2 hives an acre, there is a colony shortage forever, because if there's 1.4 million bearing acres and we need 2.8 million hives, this country has 2.3. So there's always going to be a hive
So
shortage.
literally, what you're saying is, literally during almond bloom, almost every beehive is coming to war.
Every
into
beehive's coming to
California.
war in California.
That's crazy.
Now, when the nut price collapsed, a lot of growers went 2 hives to 1.5 or 1.5 to 1. Well, every half hive demand is 700,000 hives. So if with the demand's 2.8 and the supply is 2.3, and the average is 2. Now, there's a lot of growers going 2.5 hives an acre, but if the average is 2, if the average is 2, and then across the board every grower cut half a hive an acre, then the demand goes from 2.8 to 2.1. Supply is 2.3. So that's where we had about 5 years.
One other question is, how is the self pollinators affected?
Yeah, I think that's only 200,000 acres right now.
Is that?
And most of those guys
there's
still.
more.
There could be more.
Maybe.
It could be
Yeah,
300.
I don't know.
But either way, those guys still see a great yield increase with half a hive.
With half
Most
a
of
hive
them
to a
don't.
hive.
Yeah, half
We
a
go
hive to a
hive.
hive. Most people do go a hive. There are those growers that don't. They just wait to rely on their neighbor, and they steal the pollination. Whereas going with this, there's about 4 or 5 years where we had a hive surplus, because it wasn't really a hive surplus. It was a hive surplus,
just
but it
it's
was
a lack
it was a lack of demand
Mhm.
on the economic side. As soon as the nut price went back to $2 last year, hive shortage.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And this year, it was also, there's all this talk about bee collapses and whatever. We saw it. Hives die every winter because of bad management and virus and disease. The hives were not there this year. This year, they just didn't get inspected. There was a hive shortage this year. I did one inspection on a 4,000 acre block. 25% were dead. But the grower called for the inspection about March 20th. By the time he notified, so he's just there to renegotiate his contract. But the hives were never there. This guy, he had 8,000 hives, and 2,000 of them were nothing. So that happens across the state. That's why I'm a big proponent for get your inspections done.
When should you do your inspection?
First week they're there.
First week
You
they're
know,
there.
10 days. I mean, have the conversation with your beekeeper.
Don't the bees got to kind of settle in though? A
Yeah,
little bit?
bees got to settle
yeah.
in. But, you know, if they're dropped off on a Monday, by the end of that week, they should be ready to be inspected.
Okay.
You know, there's no reason that, I mean, it depends. You know, if the bees come in on January 25th, there's no reason to get them inspected. There's nothing in the trees. Like you could wait till February 5th. But as you're getting to 1, 2, 3% pollinate or to bloom and up to about 15 or 20%, you should get those inspections done. So where I'm going with this is if the nut price continues to recover, I think it will, expect hot colony shortages. Line your bees up early, partner with the ag center, use the financing, no cash out of pocket, get your bees secure and secure them early. Secure them with a reliable, you know, professional supplier.
How many beekeepers are there out there?
Commercially, there's about 800.
Okay.
Yeah, nationwide. You know, there's like commercially, like guys that this is what they do. They're not part-time, you know, fire they're not a fire guy and they have 400 hives on the side that they mess around with. Like guys that are actually doing it, feeding their families, bulk commercial producer.
Not that many.
No, it's not that many. And they're most of them, at least half of them are in their 50s and 60s. It's a shrinking industry. That's where you go back to like the national honey production was 116 million pounds last year. We have fewer bees and fewer beekeepers every single year than ever time in American history, or at least recorded American history. I'm sure we're doing better than the 17 and 1800s.
That's one thing AI is not going to replace.
No, and there's a couple companies that are trying to do it with AI, and they're failing miserably. They've raised hundreds of millions of dollars and murdered all that money.
Yeah.
Murdered it. Nice guys, smart, very savvy on the computer side, don't know crap about bee operations or agriculture operations.
Livestock will not. Data, they'll collect data.
Data is very important.
Yeah.
And that data that they have collected is very important.
I believe that.
But it's been
It's
mismanaged.
just like cattle.
Yep.
You still got to have that cowboy.
Still got to do the work. Yep.
Yeah.
There's some things that God's just engineered a certain way that
And that's good.
that is wonderful.
That's good. So Cameron, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Yeah.
Of course, contact you yourself.
Yeah, carrier pigeon, emails we don't check. But no, give us a call. Go on the Ag Center website, call the Ag Center, they get a hold of us. We got a website, realamericanhoney.com. We do some direct marketing, but the best way is track us down, find us. If you're an almond grower, if you farm row crop, if you're a vegetable grower, stone fruit guy, we're here to help you. We're here to back you up, provide the service.
Is there a region
Yeah, we like to stay. The Greater Heart right here, Fresno County, is where we really like to be. But pretty much for in-house services, Sacramento to Bakersfield. Okay. If we want to go out and just use us on the brokerage side, we'll touch everything in the state.
Gotcha.
We got partners everywhere in the state and across the U.S. We've managed blueberry pollination in Washington and Maine. We don't necessarily get boots on the ground personally in Maine or even upstate New York, but we take Zoom calls, we take FaceTime calls. Yeah. We still get hands on nationwide.
Cool.
Haven't touched Mexico, we haven't touched Canada yet, but maybe in the future.
Yeah. Well, man, hey, I thought this was good. I learned a lot. Yeah. I didn't. The whole artificial insemination of bees is still cranking in my head. But I learned a lot. I hope people can grab onto. I mean, the importance of bees to our yields, to everything like that, as well as the importance of knowing who your beekeeper is.
Know your
beekeeper. Quality of your hives.
Work with your PCA. Work with your beekeeper. Get everything in line so it's cohesive together, and you get we're all here to be providers for the grower, to get the grower the best yield, the best production possible, and save you a couple bucks along the way. That should be the goal.
Yeah.
And then, again,
there's a value in, having quality.
Yep. And for Real American Honey, the one thing we do offer, and we're the only ones that offer this that I'm aware of in the country, and the state, is financing.
Yep.
So if you're an almond grower, if you're a row crop guy, if you're a melon guy, if you're a stone fruit, you're a cherry guy, Real American Honey can finance your pollination inputs. Yep. Keep your cash in your pocket, use it for your other outputs.
Pay for it when you get the crop.
Pay for your pollination, not up front, pay for it after you harvest. Yep. That's the one thing that I like to talk about for Real American Honey is you don't have to carry your pollination costs through harvest.
Yep. Get the crop.
Especially on the almond side, bees are I don't know, fourth most expensive input.
Yep.
I think, you know, third, fourth, fifth, so depending on how you're farming.
Yep.
So if you can, and we're the first input. So if you can take your, you know,
Draw it out.
we're probably, we've got to be what, 12, 14% of the annual budget. And you can
Sure.
take 14% of your annual budget and take that bill from January, February and push it back to August, September, or December. It's a great program. So,
Absolutely.
and if you want to do that, you got to use Real American Honey.
Well, Cameron, hey, cheers to you, man.
Sure, man.
And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Sir, I appreciate you.
Yeah, we're out.
See ya.
I'm alive, and I see things my